with Goodbye Good Girl Project and Next Level Empowerment. I'd really like to have some people join me on here. And I was supposed to have this, I was supposed to be joined by a woman who was going to do a strategy session with me. Basically, what do they call that? Anyway, it's when somebody wants to check you out to see if they want to become your client. And I am working with women in leadership who have a vision because I want to help break them out of all of this ridiculous social conditioning that keeps us playing small, thinking small, believing small. No more small. We're done. We're done. And I've been going on to Facebook. Well, mostly I've been going on to YouTube and TikTok. And TikTokers, by the way, if you're watching, can't see you, having an issue with my entire system when it comes to that. Anyway, I've decided that I am not going to push harder than I need to make things work. So it'll get fixed when it gets fixed. If one of you is a genius and wants to talk to me and help me figure this crap out, then I'd be most grateful. Okay. So, since the person who was supposed to show up and hang out with me and let me see if I could help them decided that she wanted to wait, which is totally fine. I figured, well, I'll just do what I love to do, a bunch of stuff that I love to do all at the same time. And then anybody who wants to join me can join me. See, I've been working for so many years, like for decades, right? I've been working for decades. Hold on, I gotta pick up a card. Which card fell out? Princess of Pentacles. Beautiful. Beautiful. Princess of Pentacles. Women are so powerful. Women are so freaking powerful. Anyway, I've been trying for decades to understand what it is that I'm wanting to do and supposed to be doing and need to do to be a part of my joy and be a part of helping people grow, especially women and men who are not afraid to look at their privilege and let it go, start to let it go, challenge it. So I wanted to know, like I've been trying forever to figure out of all the things that I know and all the things that I do, how do I define this stuff? And I finally came up with the phrase next level empowerment. And that is like the perfect phrase, because when it comes to empowerment from the 60s and the 70s for women was all about how do I speak up? How do I, let people know that I exist and I'm allowed to exist and I don't have to apologize. Now that hasn't changed. Okay. Sadly, that has not changed. But as I've grown, as I've changed, as I've developed, as I've become so spiritually aligned, I'm going to say, I like to bring together both the spiritual and the human because they are one. So I've been on the path forever to figure out, how do we live that? How do I live that truth? So I'm doing that and I'm deepening and I'm deepening and I'm deepening and I'm learning. And it's a lot more fun than doing it the other way, which is like, I'm going to make shit happen because I can be powerful in my body. Yeah, only to a certain degree. Then you have to sit down, shut up and take a nap. Or how can I be all spiritual and not admit that there are problems? Yeah, forget it. It's not work. It doesn't work. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. So, next level empowerment means you have all the power you need. You take all of the personal agency to say what is right for your spirit and your being and your life and what is wrong. It does not mean that you then go out and do something stupid like all the January 6th people. It doesn't mean that. There has to be discernment. It's very tough to talk about and to do, but oh well. So I want to know and I love playing with tarot cards. I think tarot cards are insanely cool. I think they are very much a a look beneath the hood of our thoughts, and really are a bridge between the human and the spirit. And it's not the spirit as being sort of separate from us. It's your spirit, my spirit. Anybody who wants to do the cards can get in touch with this. And whenever a card falls out, it's worth looking at, because it means that it just seems to be this way, that when a card falls out, you should look at it. So the one that came up was the Fool. And what I'm thinking is, like, really what I want to help women do, and especially women with a mission, with a vision. This is what I call women leaders. What I want to help women do is see what power really is, and see that we actually embody our closest to what emotional power really is, to what power really is, which is emotion. And we have to get started. We have to get started. And so I was just saying, what do we have to do to get started? And then the card fell out, and boom, we have to just get started. Whatever way it is that you can see that you need to move forward. So let me hear a little bit more about that Fool card. Like, what is it? Here, I'll just do this for myself, since there's like nobody here. I'll just do this for myself. See, I got all dressed because I was gonna be able to talk to a prospective client and help her, but she decided not to. So I'm all dressed up. I got no place to go. If you'd like to have a little mini tarot reading, this is your chance. I'll pull a card for you. Yeah, man, I will. I will pull a card for you. Oh, I can either put these cards, the most beautiful freaking. Look what's on the bottom of the deck. Came up again. That's very interesting. I'm asking myself, does that mean that offering you a card is like the beginner, that like that's the start of my path? It can be. Like I said, there's nobody here but me and my cats. But if you want to join me, that's wonderful and wild. See that little zero at the top? The Fool card really is the zero. It is the very first card in the deck, but it's not labeled number one. Number one is the Magician. The Fool card is like, okay, I've got an idea. And I don't know what to do. Like, I'm just going to march forward and give it a shot. That's what I've been doing on these lives for like the last, God, I don't know, 4 weeks. I've also been doing my podcast, which is released on Fridays. Currently on YouTube, I'm going to switch it to Substack. Anyway, next level empowerment is all about your personal agency. And the reason it's next level is because you can learn how to speak up for yourself. You can learn how to not be apologetic, have an opinion, feel the fear, and stand up and say stuff anyway. And it means that you learn to question everything, that you learn to bring the spiritual, the things that you believe as spiritual truths, not religious truths, not religious tenets, no spiritual isms, no, but things that you really resonate with. Like if somebody says to you, you are made of star stuff, you are made of the energy that creates worlds. And if that's something that you go, ah, yes, yes, oh my God, and it makes you feel like, holy crap, this is yes. But you realize, meanwhile, your life is crap. Happens all the time, right? Been there, done that. And so if you're like that and you're going, wait a minute, here's this amazing spiritual truth, and I resonate with it, I feel it, I'm like, yes. And at the same time, how the heck do I make it work? How do I live it? That's what the Goodbye Good Girl Project is about. And that's what next level empowerment is when you start questioning. You start, instead of beating the crap out of yourself, which we women are great at. We have PhDs in that crap. I'm happy to say I've burned about 19 of them. So um, I really have. I've gone through quite the transformation deliberately in the last 2.5 years. Not because I've been gifted by God. No, because I actually worked it. And that's the other stuff I'm teaching too. And it really does have to do with what we women are, excuse me, very, very close to, which is emotions. We're close to it because we're not allowed. And so we're like those little matchbox cars they used to make for kids back in the day, where you would scoot it backwards to rev it up and you'd let it go and it would take off. Well, if you knew, let me ask you, if you knew that your emotions were actually not only the place where you can find that marriage of you and spiritual truth, spiritual realities that you've been trying to live forever, but is also a jumping off point from like the emotions you don't like to the transformation, not just the change, but the transformation. I keep dropping cards. It's a sign. If you knew that, how would your life differ? Would you want to use your emotions to start changing things? I hope so. If that's a fool card, no, it's not. It's the high priestess, though. This is our card, y'all. The high priestess is all feminine knowledge. I'm telling you, this is what the world is looking for, waiting for, and receiving. It has started. And I'm out here to be another voice on this, in this mission. This stuff that is being slung around in our country and in the world and being called power, that is not power. That is control. That's not power. Hard to see when we're in the flesh and we're like, well, damn, if I get like pulled off the damn street and sent off to Guantanamo or some stuff, if that's power. I understand. And I would feel that way 100% too. But I am looking at what is really true about feminine power. And really, what is powerful is your energy. That is your ability, whether you know it yet or not, to shift your energy is so freaking amazing. And you do it through taking little tiny 1% shifts of your emotional set points. So if you have, let me define an emotional set point. So if you have an outlook every day of like, I just saw this thing on TikTok and it was like, we're effed, being respectful and not using that word that is one of my favorite words on earth. But if you have that set point right now of like, we're done, we are just so done, that is an emotional set point of despair and hopelessness and helplessness, right? It doesn't feel good. It feels very practical. It feels very realistic. It feels reasonable as hell as you watch what goes on every day in the world. And real power for you, for all of us, men and women, but women, we are the closest to this. We are the matchbox cars of this game. When we understand that if you can shift that emotion within you, and you suddenly find that you have transformed your expectations by 1%, you may think, well, what the hell difference does that make? That's like 1%. Who cares? Understood. But 1%, when you are working with deliberate shifts of energy, is actually tens of thousands of times more impactful and transformative than the larger numbers, which is very interesting. It probably has everything to do with physics, about which I know too little. But I do know that when it comes to energy, if you have a little bit of a slightly higher energy, it vibrates faster. So if you're depressed, your vibrations are like this, right? You're not moving very fast. Your emotional set point is like, I feel like garbage, right? You're like that. If you step up just by 1%, and I'll tell you what I had done, the thought I had that I had done a few years back, where I was like, I'm in danger, I'm in trouble, I can't even go to the hospital right now to make sure that I don't hurt myself. It was a really bad situation. And I'm like, I need to get a little bit better. And I had this pinprick of a light thought, which was, I think I'm a total badass for at least continuing to try to breathe. Like I should have been gone a long time ago, and I have to say, at least I know how to persevere. Now, it wasn't like, I know how to persevere, I'm so great. It wasn't that. I was really, really in bad shape. It was just a little, like I said, 1%. And I felt it. I felt it inside. I was like, wait a second. That like felt marginally better than the darkness I've been in for like weeks. Holy crap. I did that? Yeah. So, long story short, as I've continued to do this kind of work with all different kinds of emotional set points, I've completely transformed the quality of my life, the direction of my life, the possibilities in my life. I mean, let's talk about just the internal. How effing messed up are you right now around what's going on in our country? How like mind blown and frightened, and I'm not. And I had clinical anxiety and depression for almost 40 years. So let me tell you, your power to shift not only your life, but if all of us came together and like did this together, do you know we literally could shift what's happening in the country? Not by trying to shift it. That's the weird thing about this path. It's not about, oh, I'm going to make this different. It's not about that. It's taking that sharp left turn at Albuquerque, and instead of going, oh my God, I have to fix this stuff by pounding it on the head, we turn and face the light instead. And what I mean is we start allowing. We find I can I can share with you the way that we can embrace the art of allowing. Because it was pointed out to me some years ago that we have to be living in an energetic soup of light. Because if we were not, in an energetic soup of you are supported by good, by love, by the divine, by God, whatever you want to call it, the universe, spirit, I don't care what you call it. But that is the soup that we live and swim in. And it was pointed out to me that it has to be that way, because if it wasn't that way, we would have freaking blown ourselves up a long time ago. And I mean, that was convincing to me. I'm like, my God, you're right. You're right. We're not that smart as a species, as a group. We're not that developed yet, right? We're trying to develop now. That's why what's going on in our country is going on in our country. If you're looking at it from a spiritual and an energetic level, which is the same thing, that's what's going on. We are trying to birth a new consciousness. That's what's happening. That's why we're in the mud. And so we have to look for that middle path, that path where we go, I see what's happening. It sucks. I don't like it. I don't approve. It gives me anxiety now and again, but I also know the other part. So the anxiety goes away. And the other part is I know how to take one step forward. In other words, it's like a little bit, nope, it's a lot bit about self-confidence built on experience. Self-confidence built on having gone through crap and saying, you know what? I know what I did. I know some of the strengths that I used, and I can use them again, and I can add to that basket of strengths that I am, and I can keep building my self-confidence so that no matter what happens, I can figure it out and I don't have to panic. Because when we panic from the trauma and the stress, we can't access our frontal lobe. We can't access our true abilities and new ideas, and we can't like let in the instinct, the intuition, the inspiration. We have to make it really job one to pay attention to how we feel and how we are going to balance our nervous system, how we are going to look at what's happening now, and how we are going to move into each day, not with an emotional set point of hopelessness and helplessness. We are not helpless. I promise you we are not. Now, Tell that to the people who've been picked up off the street and spirited away. I understand. But that's a whole other part of this conversation. I'll be glad to comment. I mean, if you have a comment and you can put it in here, I will read it. I will respond. I'm not trying to just talk at you. I'd love to have a conversation. Anybody who wants to speak up, I'm all over it. But I'll just keep talking until you do. So, but you're not powerless. You're just not. I can give you, if you like, if you tell me to, I can give you some of the people that I watch on YouTube who've given me an understanding of vibrationally what is going on, like what is coming. And it's not coming tomorrow morning, but it's coming, and it's coming more and more all the time. Like they're showing me how the whistleblowers are starting to stand up. They're showing me how the internal stuff is starting to fall apart. And I'm actually getting a lot of my news from these people. And these are people from overseas, some of them. They know our situation better than I do. So I've started with people who are like in Australia and England, and now I'm also watching people, of course, in America. I mean, Brian Tyler Cohen is one that you could watch. A real character, a woman named Linda G, the Comanche psychic. She's on YouTube. She's fun to watch. There's Libby from Meister Tarot, Maighstir Tarot in Australia. I think she seems to be a really good person and really clear. And I like her readings. None of these people are going, here is what will happen. Here's my crystal ball. They're looking at the energies and they're looking at what the tarots bring up. And then they're also using their intuition, inspiration that's coming from the bigger part of, that's our bigger part of all of us, which is, their spirit. And I feel like I'm coming out of the closet or something, because I've always liked being very practical. And yet I've always been deeply spiritual. And now I'm like, tarot cards, oracle cards, and intuition. Because it's a part of the whole thing. We have like jailed ourselves in these bodies and in these brains going, this is all I have to fight this. And I can't see any options. Of course you can't. To quote Bashar, well, maybe not a direct quote, but your brain, our brains, they have one job, and that is to reflect on what has happened or is happening. That's it. They've never, this was such a revelation to me. They've never come up with an idea ever. Not once. Excuse me. Yeah. So where do the ideas come from? Spirit. Thanks. Yeah. Your intuition, your inspiration. It always feels, if you think about it, it always feels like, whoa, wow, what a great idea. And you don't know where the hell it came from. Well, it didn't come from your brain. Sorry. Didn't come from your brain. I find that reassuring, because what it means, when I only first heard this, I don't know, maybe 3-4 months ago, what it means is that I've been hampered. I've only had the reflective part of me that I've been accessing. I haven't been accessing, I don't know, 90% of me. I haven't been accessing that. So there's possibilities everywhere. And I freaking love that. I think that's brilliant. So count me in. Count me in. Now, if you know me at all, you'll know that I am a performer. I love to perform. I get to perform too infrequently. I am a public speaker, and I'm getting out there on people's podcasts and summits and all these other things to share this message of you are not powerless, and not only that, you are limitless. You are energetically limitless. Okay. So when I was doing the cards earlier, and I was like, so what do we have to do to get started? And what came up was the Fool card, which is the very first card in the deck. And it is the card that says, you just get started. You just do something. Oh my God, I keep dropping all these cards. and it's going to make us really freaking happy. We've got to start doing things that are new. We've got to stop just believing and never questioning the social programming. All of that stuff is bull. I was watching an amazing set of videos on YouTube on Next Level Soul about the beginnings, not just of Christianity, but the beginnings of the human experience. And if you are not afraid to look at stuff that might make you go, I wonder if I've lost my brain, this is some cool stuff, because they're even talking about, like, and this makes total sense to me, like advanced civilizations, of course, that came and built the pyramids and did the Nazca lines and all that kind of stuff. It can't be any other way. You can't get people who only know how to use sticks and start fires to somehow magically lift multiple ton stones and create um, create the Sphinx and all this other stuff. Come on, you know. It turns out that the pyramid, the Great Pyramid, actually is like an energy station, kind of like an energy station, and that the Arks of the Covenant. You want to talk power? Ooh, forget what's going on in Washington. There are multiple Arks of the Covenant, and they are so literally powerful that when at least one of them was discovered, or I mean, a number of them have been discovered, but when one of them was, they buried it. They were like, this is dangerous because if you open it, you're gonna die. Like, it's kind of like Indiana Jones, right? Like, you're gonna die. Not because pretty angels and stuff are gonna come out and turn into ghosts, but it's actually like radioactivity. And somebody back in the day when they found this slapped a radioactive thing on it, and then they buried it again. So anyway, the reason I'm talking about all of this is just because way back, way back, when Jesus did his thing, and by the way, his name was not Jesus. This is fascinating too. Anyway, but back when Jesus did his thing, and the church came in and went, nah, we don't want you to depend on yourself. We want you to depend on us. We want you to, tithe to us, and we want you to believe that if you tithe to us, then suddenly you'll magically get more money or whatever, all the isms, right? They just made up a bunch of rules, and they named Jesus. Now, Jesus's name, in case you don't know, I didn't know, is Yeshua, which I think is beautiful. Oh my God. To me, that is the perfect blend of masculine and feminine. Yeshua. It feels strong and supple. It feels fantastic to me. I love it. The word Jesus, you know what it means? It's from the Greek, I believe. It means hail Zeus. Daggone it. It means hail Zeus. So they took this, they made that the name. They said, we're going to just tell everybody, yep, I'm a Christian. And we're going to make these rules, and we're going to have people live by them. And, from the dawn of that, and probably, who knows, from the dawn of time, I don't know, who knows. Women have always been just culturally put down and negated and invisibled and everything like that. I know it's not a word. And so it's not just from this lifetime. This is an entire structure that has been around the human experience for millennia. So as we go into this period in time, it is our opportunity to question the reality of all of those rules. What I mean is, anything that is created by a human can be destroyed by a human. Look at what's happening with our government. So if there's a social rule out there that says, thou shalt not be self-confident when I, Mr. Boss, am in the room because you challenge me by being confident, which has happened to me so many times. in workplaces. But if you believe in it, you are going to, I mean, if you don't ever question it, then the behaviors that we have, we women, is like we will make sure that we're quiet. We'll make sure that we sort of pull our energy back. We'll be a little cute, right? Like we go into that thing of like, huh, yeah, I understand what you mean. I just wonder if I could say something. We get apologetic, you know, and that's not to make us feel bad, my saying that. It's to bring greater awareness because you can actually choose one of those responses and decide that the next time you think to yourself, well, I'm going to do this, you say to yourself, maybe I won't. Maybe I will challenge myself. And maybe instead of going, is it okay if I ask a question? Maybe instead of that, next time, I'm going to say, I have a comment. I have an idea. I have a thought. You see the difference? Like one is it okay? Like, yeah, even the way that I tilt my head when I'm like, and the sound of the voice, it's a little, it's very little girl. Um, and if you can challenge yourself the next time to go, I have a thought. That is the next step. That's the first step, or a first step, I should say, in saying, I'm gonna go and live this moment of my life as though that social rule were not a rule, was not a should, because I'm choosing to test its reality because at least up here I don't believe in it. That's just garbage. I don't like it. I don't want to be that person anymore. I don't like it. I have a suggestion. I have a thought. Now, you are going to be up against a whole bunch of other people who do believe in the rules, who do believe in the shoulds, and you know this. That's why you've been sitting back going, is it okay? Because that's part of the game, right? It's how we learn to survive. That's how we learn to survive. Problem. It doesn't work for us. It has never worked for us. It has never, ever, ever, ever worked for us. So step number one, challenge it. Decide on one disempowered behavior that you want to challenge. And you're going to try that sometime in the future. If you don't get to it the very next time, please don't beat the crap out of yourself. Please understand that you are, by even making the decision to try this at some point, you are deciding to take a journey that we all need to take if we want our personal agency in this life. This is the life. This is the life you get to be who you are. I mean, who you are in this life. This is it. Like they say, this isn't a dress rehearsal. It doesn't mean that we have to go from 0 to 100 overnight. That's not what it means. But to let go of this invitation to show up and be my true self, every moment I can move more into that. I'm not going to lose that opportunity. Thank you very much. And boy, I've already paid the price in ways that I now know more how to deal with. Like I used to try something and then I would have a bad reaction from somebody and I would like go and beat up on myself. I'd be like, oh my God, what did I do? I put my whole life in jeopardy. No. Now, if I have moments like that, that's okay. Because I also have the understanding that I just did something really brave. I just did something so freaking courageous. Not only externally, you guys, not only externally, in speaking a different way in front of other people with more visibility and with more courage in front of other people, but internally. Holy crap. Because when I'm stepping outside of my norm, you can bet that inside there's something happening that I'm not yet 100% comfortable with, but I will get comfortable. Oh boy, have I. And there's always more to go. So, and it's just so much fun to become more of who you are. It's like, it's just great. It's you get to think more freely and feel more freely and speak up and you start to learn how to really honor yourself for your courage and your vision and you start to make your spirituality your own instead of having to fit into some kind of religious or spiritual framework. You know, my spiritual teacher Amachi has often said that the mistake that we make is that we look at and I'm very much paraphrasing, that when we look at the great enlightened teacher who is pointing to the sun and going, or point, let's make it a little closer, pointing to the fruit of the tree, right? Going, wow, that's it, that's the fruit. All you have to do is take it, eat it. And we keep looking at the finger instead of at the fruit. I think that's just the most brilliant and true thing ever. So, we try to follow the spiritual rules and the religious rules, and we're like, maybe I'll get the reward from doing that. But we're missing the feminine power, the feeling, the emotion. When you feel that pull towards an emotional ism, like you are one with all that is, or God, the one that I resonated with a number of years ago that made me go, was God in me, as me, is me. And when I heard it, it just like something in me just like went, oh dear God, like what? God, because it was like bringing it closer step by step. God in me, as me, is me. I went, ooh, oh my God, what? So it's like, you mean God is that close? Like the divine or whatever you want to call it, is that it? Wait, right? And that makes your head just kind of go, what is happening? What's going on? I don't understand. Um, but I just cried. I cried at that. It was the spirit. It was the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living, and I went there every weekend. And like for the next 2 months, I would go, and they would say that phrase every single Sunday in some context, and I would just be crying and crying because it was such an opening for me. So if you have something like that that makes you open, that makes you go, ooh, yummy, I like that. The next step is, is do something about it. Question, wow, how could that literally be true? How could it be true in a practical way? The great beings, the great saints are the most practical people ever. They really, really are. I remember when I went to Amma back in 1988 and 89, the first 2 years I saw her. I would write her these long letters about my mother died when I was 21 and I can't get over it and I'm so depressed and it's like 10 years ago. And fair, right? Fair. I'm grieving. Here's what she said to me each time. She said, stop brooding. Practical, not followable at that time. And the whole thing with, shifting our emotional set points, that's how I stopped brooding. That's how we stop brooding. We have to take ownership and personal agency over our states of being. And we women are so close to the emotional, and that's where the bedrock of our transformation is. It really is. So you're not hopeless. Well, you might feel hopeless, you might feel helpless, but in actuality, you are not helpless. You are limitless. And women are natural born leaders. Anybody who has run a household with kids and a husband or a spouse who's a woman, whatever, any woman who's run a household knows that women are natural leaders. So why do we go into these places of employment and play the game? Stop playing the game. Remember, step number one. What am I going to do next time that keeps me out of, is it okay if I ask a question to, I have a question? That little tiny shift can feel like Grand Frickin' Canyon. Okay, step number two. Notice what the reaction is. And when you walk away from that interaction, give yourself real feedback, starting with how freaking badass you are for stepping into more of your power. That has to be number one. Even if it feels like you're freaking lying to yourself, I don't care. Walk away and go, damn, I never would have done that even yesterday. I just did that. That's pretty damn brave. I like that. And then you can go, and I feel like a freaking idiot. Like this is my favorite word for when I'm like feeling too vulnerable. I will call myself an idiot. I'll be like, I'm such an idiot. Why did I say that? Why did I do that? I understand. That is the feeling you're going to have at first. But if you keep with that thing you've chosen, that behavior, that wording, that physical stance, or the way you sit, instead of sitting like this, you let yourself be more visible, even without saying something. Just you let your energy start to speak for you, whatever it is that breaks you out of your norms. Understand you have just done something big, and it takes the courage to stick with it, to see what it's all about, to see what the results are going to be, um, to understand that this is not something you're doing just to prove that you're a badass. This is something you're doing to completely transform your quality of life and the direction of your life. Completely. This is so deep. It's beautiful stuff. Um, if you want to learn a little bit more about that shifting thing, which I call the 1% solution, hit me up. And I have a free presentation that I did a number of years ago that I'll send to you, see if that helps. So we are headed in a good direction. It doesn't look like it right now. I know. It sucks. It sucks. And for me, I'm going to keep using my body. I'm going to keep showing up. I'm going to keep marching. I'm going to keep doing what I need to do, make phone calls and everything else. But I know that the biggest thing that I'm doing is stepping into the marriage of human and spirit as one through my emotional set points, through the calming of my nervous system and my mind and my emotions. And I use so many different tools, but primarily the 1% solution and going and looking at these people on YouTube who know things and who are already tuned into the vibrational realities that are existent right now. We've got to understand that the vibrational reality is so freaking strong. Just like I said earlier, if we didn't have it going constantly, there is no break in the action for that bright sun energy of universe, God, divine spirit. There's no break in the action. It's consistent and it's so freaking strong. It has kept us from blowing ourselves to kingdom come as we grow. There's so much that's going to be happening in these next like 2 to 5 years that's going to be so transforming. And if I'm a part of it. And so I'm out here trying to figure out what people would like to hear. And I'm here to teach. I'm here to help. I'm here to support. Let me know. Guess I will go now, but have a great night. I offer you love and moxie because that's